or less. Now we're starting to get to how are teams going to plan for the league year, which is starting in a couple of weeks, and you're starting to get the quarterback rumors and who could be moving on, and Washington is calling every single team in the NFL about a quarterback. And the Raiders say they've been getting tons of calls about Derek Carr. Now, you could connect the dots that maybe Aaron Rodgers could be coming to Vegas, and then would Vegas part with Derek Carr? And this is maybe the most difficult decision to make for an NFL team that's got a question about their quarterback, right? Because for everybody else, it's either we're sticking with our guy or we got to get somebody new, right? It's pretty easy. We're sticking with our guy, we got to get somebody new. Or, hey, we'd love to get somebody new, but we made some bad.
Welcome in to the Husker Women's Basketball Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket.
Holy smokes. Nebraska women's basketball. 76-73 over Michigan, the 3 seed in the women's basketball Big Ten tournament. Welcome in. Nick Sainert with you late on a Friday night. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Send in any thoughts you have if you were watching that game. 402-999-4620, the Starter Heyman text line. Feel free to call in as well. This is one we deservedly so should celebrate because, wow. I mean, just the resiliency of this team. And we're gonna dive deep into it. Once again, Nick Sainert with you. Women's basketball postgame show. Nebraska guts out a 76-73 win in the Big Ten tournament. Feel free to chime in if you're just now joining us, just now switching over the dial. 402-999-4620. Head over to the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We can throw your comment up on the stream like we just did with Kingsley Gibbons. Says they're speechless tonight. And I think that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, if I'm sitting here, I'm actually shaking a little bit. I mean, just a gutsy performance from Nebraska. And we'll dive into the box score as we go along. Feel free, send in any thoughts. Keep me company this evening as we'll be here till about 10:15, 10:20-ish. Probably won't be a full hour because guess what? We get to do this thing all over tomorrow afternoon after Nebraska plays Iowa and a chance to move on to the Big Ten championship game on Sunday if they can knock off 2-seed Iowa. Just off the bat, I want to start with this. Michigan was a 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament, yes. But they are a top 10 program in the country. According to the AP poll, they are 10th in the nation, and Nebraska just gutted out. And I keep saying gutted out because that is a perfect word to describe what just happened and what just unfolded on the Big Ten Network. To have, I want to pull up the official stat here, multiple people with 4 fouls for a substantial amount of time. I mean, the amount of time that they had, that Alexis Markowski or Izzy Bourne or Bella Cravens had to play big minutes down low, or hello Annika Stewart coming up in the first half and draining 2 threes and dropping 10 points in the first half off the bench. In a game where Nebraska only scored 6 points the entire second quarter. And then to show the resiliency to come out in the second half against, once again, the 10th best team in the country, according to this week's AP poll, and the 3rd best team in the Big Ten, according to the seedings. And in a game where you can argue about the foul calls and how difficult the refs were, and Michigan, give them credit, because in the first half, they found out a way with the hard hedges up at the top of the key and near center court to kind of take Jazz Shelley out of the game completely. And Alexis Markowski was struggling. And once again, this team finds a way to get it done. Just once again, this team finds a way to get it done and move on and survive, barring all the adversity that they faced in the beginning of the season. I mentioned it yesterday on the post-game show with Carter last night after their win, their dominating win against Illinois, that this thing tonight is going to come down to 2 things: turnovers and free throws. Just like a lot of games in the postseason, right? A lot of games that that happen in March, whether it's the conference tournament or whether it's the NCAA tournament. Free throws and turnovers. Now, on the turnover side of things, you could be better. Nebraska committed quite a few turnovers tonight. And Amy Williams would be one of the first people to tell you that. They commit 17 as a team through the 4 quarters. But how about Allison Widener? Ice in the veins. Allison Widener steps up with 4 seconds left on the clock, knocks down 2 free throws to make it a 3-point ball game. And that's just the game right there. Like, the free throws, huge for Nebraska tonight. 18 of 22 from the line. Once again, at one point in the fourth quarter, through the third quarter, Nebraska had 6 personal fouls in the fourth quarter, and Michigan had 1 called on them. Keep throwing adversity this team's way. They're going to be just fine. And it's going to come from people that are true freshmen. Kendall Moriarty got some significant playing time this evening. Once again, I mentioned Annika Stewart and Allison Widener, who last night only had 6 points. She dropped 16 this evening. And once again, those 2 crucial free throws. Hit a couple trifectas early on as well. Jazz Shelley, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Had a couple really, really tough fouls called on her late in the game as well. Then Izzy Bourne, dealing with foul trouble all evening long, has 5 points, 2 of 2 from the field, but once again had some tough fouls. And give credit to Nebraska's bench, and I'm sure Amy Williams will say something similar to this tomorrow in the post-game press conference. But man, Annika Stewart, 12 points in 10 minutes. Bella Cravens, 22 minutes off the bench because she had to. Michael Caton, 12 minutes off the bench. Alexis Markowski only had 4 points in 30 minutes of play. She had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, including, I think that play at the end of the game there, before, obviously the steal on the inbounds pass was huge for Alexis Markowski, but also her having the ability or showing the ability to still play physical, still play hard and tough nose that she needed to do going up against Naz Hillman or Leah Brown when she was set up on Leah Brown, the former Husker also, who has the athleticism advantage or speed advantage, maybe that's a better way to say it, over Alexis Markowski. But Alexis was still able to hold her ground, force a miss, and then Alexis then gets a jump ball, which possession stays with Michigan, obviously, but it also gave Nebraska a chance to reset, to kind of take a deep breath in the crucial moments of the game. Because once again, this team is super young. And there were times, I will have no problem admitting this. There were times throughout the game when Michigan, with 4 minutes left, is up 6, and Michigan's up 8 or 4 with a couple minutes to play. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, we've seen this, not necessarily with this women's basketball team, but Husker fans are well accustomed to it, to where if you're a young team, man, you were so close, but at the end of the day, you just didn't do enough to get you over the top. And so there were those moments that I have no problem admitting, because of how young this team is, despite what they've shown us this season already. This is the biggest stage that they've played on, and against one of the best opponents that they have played all season. Now, this was also a team in Michigan that they beat by 21 points on January 4th when they played in Lincoln. But holy smokes, this team keeps showing out. This team keeps gutting out and finding ways to get the job done. And it is a blast to watch. And I'm glad it was so great seeing, Twitter and social media blowing up, because I tweeted something out similar to like, this feels like a Big Ten championship-esque game. Tell me that this was not, this did not feel like a Big Ten championship, whether it was the physicality, whether it was the emotion, the passion, the calls feeling like they were so huge in the moment that they were getting the whistles. This literally felt like a Big Ten championship-esque or caliber type of game between two teams. One of them being ranked in the top 10, the other was 6th seed in the Big Ten tournament, and that 6th seed is Nebraska. Just an unbelievable and enjoyable game to watch, especially the roller coaster that Nebraska fans had to ride tonight, where they're up by 14 in the first quarter at one point. Then Bam, Michigan responds and outscores Nebraska 22-6 in the second quarter alone. And you're sitting there at halftime like, man, Michigan's got all the momentum. How does this young team respond? This isn't Illinois that they're playing. This isn't Wisconsin that they're playing. This is Michigan with an All-American in Naz Hillman and a former Husker in Leah Brown who played pretty well tonight, and Emily Kaiser, who led the Wolverines in scoring when you played back on January 1st. How is Nebraska going to respond? I think I know for a fact I'm not the only one that those questions crept into the mind a little bit of Husker fans tonight. And rightfully so. How's this young team going to respond? Especially when you look up and Izzy Bourne has 3 fouls halfway through the second quarter. And when you're relying on Annika Stewart, now no slight to her because once again, she's shown out, but the truth is she hasn't been able to be in the game in recent matches or games because of some just soreness. It's not like significant injuries, but just those annoying little those pains in the back that just keep you out of a game. And somehow we're sitting there at halftime going, man, Annika Stewart's leading us with 10 points. That's a surprise, especially after Jazz Shelley dropped 32 last night and shot 9 of 13 from beyond the arc. Man, Alexis Markowski isn't really shooting well on offense. How are we in this game? You're asking that to yourself, and then you remember this is the same thing they've been doing all season long. If you've been paying attention since the beginning, then you kind of know that every game there's just somebody that steps up. There's just somebody that kind of surprises you, and you're sitting there and you're like, man, this player is going to be fun to watch for 4 years, because guess what? Most of the time it's a true freshman. We do need to take care of some legal ID stuff. So you're listening to 93.7 The Ticket, KNTK FM Firth. I need to try to find this legal ID here. Give me 1 second. Once again, feel free to chime into the show all the post-game show the entire time we're here. The Starter Heyman text line, 402-999-4620. We'll be more than happy to get your comments in, any thoughts that you may have. Please let us know. Once again, that number, it's not the same one as normal, 402-999-4620. I want to get this played here really quickly so that we don't get in any trouble for anything. So give me 1 second. We're going to take 10 seconds for station identification.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
All right, so once again, we'll be here till about 10:25 or so, maybe a little bit before that, because we'll get to do this all over again. I'll be with you tomorrow afternoon or evening after Nebraska plays Iowa, who is the 2 seed. They knocked off Northwestern this afternoon, or I should say evening, in a game where Northwestern was up early and Iowa just too dominant with Caitlin Clark and Cisnano and Michaela Warnock as well. And Nebraska, familiar with Iowa. They played them twice. Looking ahead at that game, Nebraska's played Iowa twice, obviously in front of probably the biggest crowd that they've had this season at home when they played Iowa on a Sunday. It was actually following the Michigan win in the previously in that same week. And Nebraska, they came out. I mean, it was extremely competitive all game long, and Iowa wins at PBA. But then later on in the season, in a game where Sam Hybe had a shoulder injury, she was unavailable. Jazz Shelley was out because of health and safety protocols. Nebraska was actually up, I believe, by 16 or 18 points in the game on the road at Iowa. And a big part was because of Alexis Markowski, who started the night 6 of 6 from beyond the arc in that game. So when we're looking ahead, there's a sense of excitement, not only because you just knocked off a top 10 program in the country in Michigan, but you have everybody available tomorrow. Bella Cravens, shout out to Bella Cravens, gets a big cut under or around her eye or in her head, has to change jersey numbers because there was blood on the jersey, comes in as number 20, not number 14 anymore, and provides big minutes. Now, she didn't necessarily score a whole lot of points, but everybody deserves a huge amount of credit tonight that found substantial minutes because the calls were not going your way. They weren't. In the first half, there were 15 fouls called. 5 of them were on Michigan. 10 of them were on Nebraska. In the third quarter alone, there were 13 fouls called. It switched up. 9 on Michigan, 4 on Nebraska. And you saw in that third quarter, that's something that allowed Nebraska to get back into the game. Now, I'm not saying that all those calls from the officials were warranted, especially in that third quarter when Izzy Bourne came out to hard hedge the ball handler for Michigan. And man, it seemed like Izzy was straight up and was just doing her job. And Michigan player flew her head back and bam, whistle, 4th foul. So you're going to have to deal with that every single game. And give credit to Amy Williams for keeping her cool. Side note, how in the world is Amy Williams not the Big Ten Coach of the Year? Just surprising to me. I mean, Amy Williams in her 6th year has now led Nebraska to 24 wins, the most since, I believe, 2013 as a program, 5th most all time. If they get to 25 wins, I believe they're going to tie the 3rd most program wins of all time. And that's not out of the realm of possibility, because there is a way, and I talked about this on my show today with Nathan, there is a way that this win tonight may have bumped Nebraska up to a 5 or a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. I seriously do not think 5 seed is out of the realm of possibility. And so you're sitting there going, okay, Amy Williams, you led Nebraska to a NCAA tournament team, berth in your 2nd year, had a couple down years. I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I think there was a lot of excitement going into the season, but I don't think anybody saw a 24-7 program coming this season. I don't think anybody was really expecting, or the expectation outside of the program was to have a 10-0 start with the non-con slate. I'm not sure anybody thought that they'd be 12-7 in the conference with the wins inside the Big Ten tournament included in that. Just unbelievable season so far. And they are Nebraska is so easy to cheer for when it comes to women's basketball right now, because the way that they share the rock and the way that they're just never out of a game, the heart that they show through all 4 quarters. And one big thing, and I don't know if anybody saw the video where Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, former Nebraska quarterback, obviously, he came and spoke to women's basketball today. And his message to Nebraska was like, listen, when you guys get up, you keep your foot on the gas. And I will say this, that is something I believe Nebraska fans can really appreciate. They don't care if they're up by 20. They don't care if they're up by 3 or if they're down by 40. Jazz Shelley's going to do her thing. Alexis Markowski is going to play strong in the post. And when she turns around with a right-handed layup, gets fouled, and finishes the bucket, she's going to bring that energy that she always does by screaming and jumping around and high-fiving every one of her teammates. It's the little things like that that make a program easy to cheer for, show that the chemistry within the team is strong, right? And it also shows that this coaching staff is putting together a roster that enjoys being around each other. That's just my thought. They enjoy playing on the floor. According to, all social media and everything that they're telling us, they love being with each other off the floor. Despite whatever adversities have hit them, whether it's been health and safety protocols, whether it's been roster shakeups or coaching staff shakeups, this team keeps on fighting. And it really showed tonight. I have a picture in my mind of what Lincoln and Husker basketball fans looked like. I was at Brewski's actually earlier this evening for dinner, and I went at the beginning of the game. And I mean, Brewski's, there were people there specifically to watch Nebraska women's basketball. And as bad as, and I don't mean to say that as in like, that never happens, but let's be honest. Everybody goes for Husker football. That's not surprising. Men's basketball, maybe. But it was as a person that has been able to go to every single home game for Husker women's basketball and kind of seeing the way that this team has evolved through the start of the season and kept on growing this fan base. It's extremely exciting and extremely encouraging And it just makes you feel good as a Husker fan, knowing that this fan base is paying attention, finally. And I know there are a lot of fans that were on board from that 10-0 start, and I'm glad you've stuck around, like for real. I'm glad you're here. And for the people that have joined once Big Ten conference play started, welcome. If you're just now starting to pay attention to the Big Ten tournament, welcome. Plenty of room for everybody, because this thing is not stopping. And this team just showed that whether they are ranked, whether they're not ranked, whether they are a 6 seed in the Big Ten tournament, they can compete with anybody. Even if their two most important big players or post players have 4 fouls. Or if one of your starting post players, in Izzy Bourne, who's kind of the staple of this team right now, who has been able to show that she can step out and hit a perimeter shot when needed. She's shown that the last 2 nights and then the previous games as well. But on this stage, she's shown the ability to do that. She has 3 fouls in the first half and has to sit. And she's just done for the first half. So you lean on Annika Stewart, a freshman that hasn't played a whole lot. Kendall Moriarty saw some time in the first half. And it's not in garbage time. Like, it's the same thing I said last night. Like, it's not in garbage time. You're not seeing these true freshmen in garbage time. You're seeing them in the first half or in the fourth quarter of a one-possession ball game against the 10th best team in the country and the 3rd best team in the Big Ten. And I honestly believe Michigan is actually a better team than Iowa. That's my thought, even if the seeding says differently. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, fatigue, obviously. You have to wonder how does Nebraska handle the fatigue? Because now they're going into their 3rd game back-to-back-to-back days. 3 days in a row, 3rd game. So you wonder, where's the fatigue at? They didn't seem tired tonight. Once again, that goes back to last night with doing their job and taking care of business against Illinois, allowing a player like Jazz Shelley to sit despite scoring 32 points. She was able to sit for the final 4, 5, 6 minutes of the game. Alexis Markowski was able to get some breather last night as well. All that helps Nebraska in the future. And why? Because this team is so deep and they have freshmen that Amy Williams can trust and count on each and every game, no matter who they're playing. Just, man, this team is so easy to cheer for. So easy to cheer for. Love watching Nebraska women's basketball right now, because it's a blast. It's a blast, and rightfully so. Kingsley says this on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. Feel free, once again, Nebraska women's basketball knocks off Michigan 76-73 in the quarterfinal game. And don't forget, this is the quarterfinal. It felt like a Big Ten championship game. I was screaming. I'm the only one in the station, and I was screaming when Sam Hybe hit the and one layup. Can't imagine what folks were doing in their houses. It's really cool. Kingsley says this: after all the heartbreak between football and men's basketball, this women's team is a breath of fresh air and is so fun to watch. And with so much passion, now it's time to take down Iowa. GBR. Larry also adds GBR on the video stream. Yeah, a lot of fun, man. Super easy to cheer for. Got a couple minutes left in the post-game show here. I'll get out of your guys' hair Friday night. Enjoy this win. But guess what? We get to do it all again tomorrow afternoon. We'll look ahead to Iowa here in a moment. 402-999-4620. The Starter Heyman text line, Honda Lincoln hotline. Feel free to chime in any thoughts you may have. Sorry, the light, I got a little distracted. The light saying that somebody's up front started going off, but that can't be because the door is locked. So got a little distracted there for a moment. All right, 402-999-4620, Starter Heyman text line. Let's go through the box score here really quickly. Jazz Shelley, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists in 38 minutes. Allison Weiner, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists in 33 minutes. Sam Hybe, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in 34 minutes. Markowski, the freshman, 4 points, struggled a little bit. 4 points, 0 of 3 from the field, hit all 4 of her free throws, 9 rebounds, 4 personal fouls for a substantial amount of time in the game, going up against an All-American 3 steals, including that crucial one at the end of the game, in 30 minutes. And then Izzy Bourne, who was the 5th starter, 5 points, 2 of 2 from the field, 1 of 1 from beyond the arc, 1 rebound. Had to play with foul trouble the entire game. 1 turnover in 18 minutes. When Izzy Bourne was on the floor, Nebraska in the plus-minus category, plus 13. When Allison Widener was on the floor, Nebraska was plus 10. When a true freshman guard who was thrown in the starting lineup because of things that happened out of her control, she got thrown in the starting lineup from small-town Nebraska, Humphrey, Nebraska. In the Big Ten Big Ten tournament, she is leading Nebraska plus 10 in the category. Just unbelievable stuff if you think about it. Couple players off the bench. Annika Stewart, 12 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds, committed 2 fouls, had 1 steal in 10 minutes to play. Don't forget, she's a true freshman as well. Bella Cravens, 6 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 2 boards, 2 assists. I was worried there for a moment that Bella Cravens might have gotten in some foul trouble or was about to get in some foul trouble, committed a couple fouls. She finished with 2 fouls in 22 minutes, had a block and a steal as well. A couple things that if you're Nebraska, you want to fix before going into Iowa tomorrow. Turnovers. Commit 17. Nebraska was 15 of 24 on layups. Part of that also is because of the body of Naz Hillman down in the post for Michigan. Nebraska, once again, finishes 15 of 24 on layups. Only had 4 offensive rebounds all game. Only 7 second chance points, Forced 13 Michigan turnovers. They dropped 32 points in the paint. Second straight game of having over 30 points in the paint. 23 players off the bench, 23 points came from off the bench. Nebraska as a team shot really well tonight. 56% from the field, 44% from beyond the arc, and that was in the second half. I apologize. 57% from the field, 33% from beyond the arc, and 78% from the free throw line. Nebraska women's basketball, 76-73 over 3-seed Michigan. They end the game. Once again, I've mentioned this before on previous post-game shows. They end the game. They always find a way to finish and finish their opponent, whether that's keeping your foot on the gas like we talked about a couple minutes ago, whether it's that situation, or whether it's just figuring out a way to make shots, finding somebody that wants to step up. And what we found out with this team is that there are multiple players willing to step up, right? Whether it's Sam Hybe, whether it's Alexis Markowski, whether it's Jazz. Like, there's a player that wants to step up because they have that competitive itch. And that's just what they do. Nebraska was another example tonight. They finished the game 4 of 5. They hit 4 of their last 5 shots. They were trailing with like 2 minutes. They were trailing. And they figured out a way to get it done. Just really, really easy to watch. Enjoyable stuff to watch. All right, got about 2 minutes left in the post-game show here before we get you on with the rest of your night. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me once again. 402-999-4620. Feel free to get a couple of your last thoughts in here before we kind of move on. Kind of programming tomorrow. I'll be with you here at 9 a.m. We will be doing the high school Saturday show. Luke Mullen will join me breaking down the state tournament. If you haven't heard, we are calling 32 games, and by we, I mean me and DP. We're splitting it up. We're calling 32 total high school basketball games across Class A boys, Class A girls, Class B boys, Class B girls, Class C, and a little bit of Class D as well. Both boys and girls from each class. Your high school home next week for the state tournament right here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, so looking ahead to Iowa, Nebraska. I believe it's an afternoon game. Let me look up before I quote you guys. I believe it's a afternoon game. I want to say it's a 3 p.m. tip-off. Or excuse me. It is going to be a 5 p.m. tip-off tomorrow night. So plan on post-game show, maybe around 7 p.m. maybe 7:15-ish if it goes over. The other semifinal this afternoon, yes, Larry says 6 p.m. on the stream. It's 6 p.m. Eastern time. So, yep. So 5 p.m. Central. It could be 6 p.m. if you're listening or watching from somewhere on the East Coast. So they'll play at 5 p.m. Central time. They play Iowa, obviously, who knocked off Northwestern. Iowa's the 2 seed in the tournament. The other semifinal game features Ohio State, who beat Michigan State, and then Indiana, who's the 5 seed, topped the 4 seed Maryland this afternoon as well. So that's the other semifinal game. But Nebraska and Iowa play tomorrow night, 5 p.m. That one will be on BTN. So you'll be able to obviously watch that game. And then at around 7 p.m., I will be right here with you guys to break it all down. And what we hope is another Husker women's basketball win. Just hope you enjoyed tonight as much as I did, because whether you were at home, at a sports bar, or listening on the radio, man, it was a lot of fun to be a part of. And Husker country should be cheering on this team the rest of the way, because they are firmly in the NCAA tournament now. They have firmly showed time and time again that they are a top 25 team in the country and that they belong on the map. Amy Williams, shout out to her. Fantastic job. Her whole staff, Tom Gailey, Coach Mays, fantastic job all the way around. Great job by all the freshmen. Once again, dealing with the adversity. Huskers, Iowa, tomorrow, 5 p.m. I'll talk to you for the postgame show. Have a great rest of your Friday night. Go Big Red.